Hey guys, my name is Andy. Welcome back to our virtual production lab in Munich. Today I'm going to show you the advantages of our version 1.1 of our color calibration tool and our integration into different playback software solutions for virtual production environments. Let's go. Okay, let's step into the calibration software. Now, I've already calibrated the Alexa 35 in the lab, so all I have to do is open a project file. I'm going to go to File, Load Project File, and in this case, I've got my project file located on my desktop. Open, and then it asks you whether you want to connect to the camera. Now, in my case, the camera is still online, so I can say OK. But you can also go into an offline mode with project files. Now, it's telling me that a reboot is necessary because the camera would need to go into a different setting to be able to calibrate. In this case, I don't want to calibrate, so I'll just hit cancel. You can see the recording format is not properly set up to do a calibration, but for this part, it really isn't important. Let me just quickly update the camera view so that you can see that we're actually doing something here. Okay, so next I want to go to the auto calibration page. If you want to learn more about the auto calibration, please feel free to watch the other tech talk we did when we originally released the software. Now, nothing much has really changed here. We've got a couple of changes that make usability a bit easier, but the big change we've included in here is the export OCIO config. But let's first step into the calibration check page. Inside of this page, in the current project, I of course have saved a calibration for the Alexa 35. The other thing you can do without connecting to a camera is to simply load a calibration file. So you can hit load file, get a calibration file that you originally exported, and then that will be applied to this check calibration page. Inside here, I can set up my different parameters depending on how my camera is set up. So if I were to use an ND filter, I'd use an ND filter. If you need a bigger image, then you can also hit the detach preview. When you do this, you just get a single image on your LED wall, and you can of course resize it and position it on your LED wall wherever you need to see it with your camera. So if I were wanting to test my camera at, let's say, 4,300 Kelvin, I can just type this in here, and the calibration will be changed towards a camera setup of 4,300 Kelvin. You can also export a TIFF image. So if you don't have a playout system in place yet, but you still need to check your calibration, you don't want to check it through the tool because you want to put it on a different render node, you can simply click Export TIFF Image, and then it'll take Helen and John with the calibration applied and save it wherever you want to save it. Now let's get to the really important part, which is Export OCIO config. Now when I click this, you can see that I can select different CCT values. I can also add custom CCT values and custom tint values. So if you have already set up your camera inside your stage and you need to operate it at a certain CCT and tint, then you can just add that CCT and tint for your OpenColor IO config and then apply that special CCT and tint value to your display output. So let's export a file. I'm just going to save it to the desktop. As usual, the camera, serial number, and lens gets encoded in the file, and then we hit save. All right, now that we've exported everything, let's take the OpenColor IO file into Unreal Engine, compare it to the Unreal plugin workflow, and make sure that Unreal Engine is outputting the same as our application. All right, now we're inside of Unreal Engine, and let's take a look at how we apply OpenColor IO correctly to our environment. So I'm just going to show you this in the editor. It basically is the same thing if you're using NDisplay. So right now I'm looking at my ACES CG texture. If you want to learn more about textures, working color spaces, and transforms, please play back the original tech talk when we released the software. Now, right now, I'm looking at an OCIO display and I'm transforming from my working color space ACES CG into Rec 709 ARRI Reveal. This is what ARRI would natively give out of the Alexa 35 from its SDI. Okay, so this would basically be what you're looking at if you have a Rec 709 monitor. Of course, you could also change it to an sRGB monitor, which we also have provided with the ARRI Reveal transformation. Okay, so inside of our OpenColor.io file, if I navigate into it, I've already loaded up the OCIO file that we originally exported from the calibration application. And inside here, I've already added one calibration. Now, if you want to add another, of course, you can do so. You just skip to the ARRI calibration part in the display outputs, and then you choose the CCT that you would like to output for the camera. Right now, I'm using a CCT of 5600 Kelvin. Now, I'm reflecting these changes the same way in the calibration application, okay? So the CCT is set to 5600, as is the OCIO config inside of Unreal Engine. So let's apply that to the editor. OCIO display. And let's take the ARRI calibration for 5600 Kelvin. Now, of course, on a Rec 709 monitor, this will probably look pretty awful. But for now, that's exactly correct. And let's compare that to what the application is doing. So I've set the CCT to 5.6, and I'm going to detach the preview and put that side by side towards what I'm displaying in Unreal Engine. Okay, so you can see that the colors match. It's the exact same transformation, and one is through our application, the other is through Unreal Engine. So this is very helpful, especially when you're insecure about whether your pipeline is set up correctly. This is your ground truth. You can simply display this either by having exported it as a TIFF image or directly through the application if you want to make changes to it. So this is really helpful, and it'll streamline your process and just make you secure about the transformation you're applying inside of your volume. Okay, let's close this up. Now, the controls, of course, stay sort of the same. So if I want to drop the exposure, I'll simply click into the post-process volume. If I want to reduce the exposure by 2 stops, I'll just put in -2. See, I've reduced the image brightness overall by 2 stops. And I can do the same in the calibration application. So inside here, in the exposure, just type -2. And that'll get applied, of course, to the small preview and to the full preview, which we again can compare towards what we're producing inside of Unreal Engine. So basically, it's just a really streamlined process. Now, of course, you can use the OpenColor.io files inside any other application, for example, 2D playback systems or 2D integrated playback systems such as Pixera or Disguise, basically any software that supports OpenColor.io for display transforms. Okay, folks, that's it. If you have any further questions, please follow the link in the description or leave us a comment below the video. Until then, we'll keep you posted about any new features or updates coming with the newer versions of our calibration tools. See you later.